Hey, everybody, and welcome again to another edition of Our Voice 360, Our Perspectives, Our Ways. I'm one half of the staff here, Chad Bumgarner, and I got with me my man Pete Hunt.
What's good, family?
Hey, Pete, with that, let's go ahead and get into it, man.
And as always, our show is brought to you by CDB Consulting. Great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?
And also, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if there's a particular topic that you want us to talk about, you want to hear our insight on, or also if there's something that you feel like we can do to enhance the podcast to make it better for your listening pleasure, do not hesitate to contact us at ourvoice360 at gmail.com. That's our email address, ourvoice360 at gmail.com. And also, guys, on Spotify, anywhere that you find your podcast, especially on YouTube, guys, if you could go out and subscribe to the channel, like and smash the subscribe button, and then
hmm
hit the bell alert. So anytime we bring that new heat, you are aware and that you're ready to listen. So
Oh,
please, our
yeah.
goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I know we can do it. So please tell a friend to tell
hmm
a friend to tell a friend, because we're all about enlightening, entertaining, and uplifting our people with information we feel like they need to know and understand what's going on in our communities.
Right.
All right, cool. So, all right, we got two new heaters today. The first one, Pete brought to me about. I mean, I knew about it a little bit, but I had to
hmm
do some more research on it. But we're talking about the young black man in high school in Texas. His name is Daryl George, I believe,
hmm
and he was suspended over his lock hairstyle days after the Crown Act took effect. Again, this is in Texas, so we're going to talk about that and what this all means for us and what we need to be aware of with our kids going to school and these schools trying to put certain rules in place dealing with hair.
hmm
The second topic we're going to talk about is a gentleman by the name of Edward Blum, Blum. He is responsible or behind the Harvard affirmative action case. I don't know if you all are aware of it, but him and his legal staff are really busy on trying to tear down the affirmative action, a rule that is in place that is to help minorities gain
hmm
employment, to create diversity in all
Right.
aspects of work or work industries, if you will. He's trying to eliminate that, which,
Mhm.
as you all know, is going to make it way more harder for us to not only get a job now, but also go to school.
Right.
So it's going to affect more than just jobs. It's going to affect schools and every other aspect. So he's really hell bent on taking race out of the determining factor for, entering schools and getting a job. So far,
hmm
from in my opinion, affirmative action has been working because companies have been seeing the importance and the value of diversity as opposed to, just one particular type of or one particular group of people trying to
hmm
govern and run a business or, manage a school or run a school, if you will. So we'll get into that. But these are the two topics we're covering today. So, Pete, let's jump into the situation with the young man. Now, again, this is a Texas student. He was suspended over his lock hairstyle. Excuse me. I think he had his locks tied up in like a bun, or it was tied up on his head so it wasn't hanging over his shoulders, so he could
Right.
comply with the existing rules in the handbook of the school. But evidently that is not enough, and they were telling the young man that he needed to cut his locks in order to continue school there, or he would be put out of school. I think right now he was put in school suspension
Right.
because he refused to cut his locks, right? And
Right.
so it's interesting because the article on CNN says he was suspended the same week that the state's Crown Act was went into effect.
hmm
And so, to be clear, I had to pull up the Crown Act because we like to do our due diligence here.
That's right.
So, the Crown Act reads, relating to discrimination on the basis of hair texture or protective hairstyle associated with race, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Texas. Section 1, Subchapter Z, Chapter 25, Education Code is amended by adding Section 25.902 to read as follows. Section 25.902, prohibition on certain discrimination in student dress or grooming policy. A, In this section, protective hairstyle includes braids, locks, and twists. Any student dress or grooming policy adopted by a school district, including a student dress or grooming policy for any extracurricular activity, may not, I repeat, may not discriminate against a hair texture or protective hairstyle commonly or historically associated with race.
There it is.
Now,
in a nutshell.
There's a section 2 to this, but it just goes more into depth on that. But that's the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot discriminate. You may not discriminate against a hair texture or protective hairstyle commonly or historically associated with race. So the young man was interviewed, and he's very, aggravated by the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because he feels like, and I feel like he's right. He's being punished or getting punished for something that's irrelevant to his education.
Exactly.
What does my hair have to do with me and my ability to learn and get a quality education?
What it is, Chad, is again trying to eliminate or minimize the Black child in schools. So if we can't get you on one thing, we're going to get you on another. So this time, in this instance, it's his hair, which by the code of the school is the way it should be worn, above the ear and no lower than the collar of the shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at his hairstyle, if you look at any pictures of this young man, his hair is locked up. And it's braided back, and it's above his ear and above the collar of his shirt. So again, I'm not really sure what the school is thinking as far as, suspending him for his hair when he, in all aspects of the code in the school book, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Well, now it also says in the article, when George told officials she believed their policies, and this is his mom talking.
Mm-hmm.
She believed their policies were in violation of the Crown Act. She told them.
Exactly.
She said the officials told her the law does not apply to limitations on hair length. And then she says, I want to see their policy change and stop being discriminatory against Black kids. I want to see my son out of in-school suspension. I don't want any other child that's coming behind my son to go through this again.
Exactly right. It's unfair, and it's against a state policy, a new state policy. So again, it's just like the state will trump the school policy, or it should.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. But Pete, to me, is deeper than this.
Okay.
You're basically telling this kid that he is not validated unless he conforms.
Say that word again, Chad.
Conforms.
Okay.
To a rule or a thought that makes the powers that be comfortable.
There it is. There it is, right there in a nutshell. You said it right, Chad. Because if you look, I saw some pictures when this immediately happened. I saw pictures, yearbook pictures of white students with their hair below the collar of their shirt in their yearbook pictures, and I'm like, what are we doing? So that further lets you know this is geared towards this young man, and they're not comfortable with his hairstyle. Which, again, like you said earlier, Chad, what does that have to do with me getting an education?
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing.
This is targeting. This is trying to make a person of color, a Black person, This is trying to make a Black person, feel less than. And the only way that we're going to allow you to even think that you're equal to us and assimilate is if you cut your hair.
Right.
See, it's a control thing. That's what this is. It's just like, if you remember a while back, the young boy that was wrestling, and the referee said he can't wrestle. He got to cut his hair before he can wrestle. and they was on the sideline cutting that boy's hair.
I, as the old folks would say, if I was that young man's parents, and I remember what you're talking about,
Yeah,
Chad, I wish I might. I, I wish you would touch my child's hair.
yeah,
I wish you would.
yep,
I wish you would.
yep.
But again, back to this young man in Texas, it's sad. It's really sad. And now, Chad, they have even pushed it even further. Now they're sending this young man to an alternative school.
Yes, I was about to get to that. Yeah, they're talking
Yeah,
about sending him to
yeah,
alternative because he
yeah.
doesn't want to agree to the terms that they set in place.
Exactly. And now they've added all these other things to his record. Now they're saying he's unruly and he's not listening to teachers and all of this other stuff. Stop adding stuff to it. You suspended him because of his hairstyle. You can't go back and now say you're doing it. You're sending him to the alternative school because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Let's talk about which we don't even know is the fact, because this was added on because, like I said, originally he was suspended because of his hair.
Mm-hmm.
And if you be honest, you're upset that this mother is suing you. You're being sued by this mother.
Yep.
So now you have to make this black child look as bad as possible. Now you have to send him. You're sending him to the alternative school. Okay, so when this young man applies for colleges, guess what's in his record?
Exactly. And he's gonna have to sit there and explain that over and over and over and over again. If he's lucky, because some schools might see it and say, I don't want to deal with the drama.
Exactly. So now you put even a bigger burden on this young man by not only suspending him because of his hair, now you've added these other things, and now you're making him look worse than what you originally said he was suspended for. It's totally unfair to this young man. And like I said, I don't know the young man. I don't know his attitude or what he does at school. But let's stick to the topic on what you suspended him for. You suspended him because of his hair, and keep it at that. And then let the courts decide on what's going to happen next.
Well, see, to me, they've already decided because they signed they enacted the Crowns Act. That should settle it. I mean, to me, that should settle it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's it. And it's sad that these kids have to go through this. This is no different than the 50s and 60s when sisters were perming their hair to make it straight so they can assimilate into the workforce. Fried, dyed, laid to the side. Remember that phrase?
Yep, that's what they say. I mean, they couldn't go to work with afros and this, that, third, or any other kind of hairstyle. And that's why black women started straightening their hair because, again, you had to conform.
See, and I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. Prime said it best. If my confidence, dang, now I can't remember the doggone phrase. If my confidence impedes on your, I can't remember the phrase. I'm not going to sit here and waste dead air. But basically what he was saying is the confidence that I have in myself, if you have a problem with it, that's on you. That's not on me.
Exactly.
That's not on me. That's on you. You have inferiorities about yourself.
Right.
So now you want me to conform to you so you can feel okay.
That's not how
and now we're going down to the hair. Imagine how these kids feel. You can't come to school here because your hair is not kempt or your hair is not what we feel it should be. First of all, your hair is not like mine. So who are you to say what's right and what's wrong?
Exactly. Or what book I can read. What book is in my library? I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I mean,
you're trying to devalue my culture.
To make you feel comfortable.
To make you feel comfortable, right? Well, you know that this school we uphold certain standards. I get that. I get that. If he has the qualification to get into the school, that's why he's there. Because he has the brain power and the mindset to do the work and do it successfully. That's why he's there. None of this has to do with hair.
Yep.
None of it. but because you don't like the way
Mm-hmm.
his hair looks.
Right.
Okay, so now we got to go to the rule books. We got to do this the right way. We got to go into the student handbooks and talk about, this is how you need to wear your clothes. This is how you need to wear
Mm-hmm.
your hair. This is how blah 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 blah. Who makes the rules on what looks successful or not, or productive or not?
Exactly.
Hair has no play in how
None.
smart you are or how inept you are,
Mm-hmm.
how motivated you are, how smart you are. Hair has nothing to do with that.
Right.
So why you putting this young man and others that look like him through this madness? Now, like I told you off air, Pete, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know this because I didn't look into the young man's background. I don't know if he's playing sports or not. Um, but I can tell you this: there's a lot of young brothers playing sports for these schools that wear their hair like his,
Mm-hmm.
and that are bringing a lot of money into these schools and are putting butts in
Mm-hmm.
seats.
Right. Right.
But this young man is trying to just get an education, it appears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's having to go through all kind of roadblocks and all kind of ridicule. Think about this. Think about what this is doing to his psyche.
Oh, of
What is
course.
this telling
Of
him subliminally?
course.
Because it's
Right.
people are looking at this on the surface, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so much deeper because it's
Mm-hmm.
symbolic and it's saying a lot more than what it is.
Yeah, because a lot of
It,
people are
it-
gonna look at it and say, It's just hair. Just cut it.
right. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, it's just hair. Why don't you
It,
just cut it? No, like you
it's
said, Chad, it's
so much
deeper than
more. Yeah, it's
that. It's
way
deeper
deeper,
than that. Yeah.
and they know this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what infuriates me about this whole situation. I know this isn't the first young man that has gone through this. Well aware of
Mm-hmm.
that, and he probably won't
Mm-hmm.
be the last. But
Right.
I need for the court to really, put 10 toes down and be like,
Right.
the Crown's law is the Crown's law here. It
Mm-hmm.
will be enforced. It will be
Right.
enacted. It has been
Mm-hmm.
approved. It has been voted on, and
Right.
that's just what it is. Y'all need to leave this young man alone, because now they even talking about Pete. They won't even let him participate in graduation ceremonies.
Now that's just crazy. No matter how good his grades and the things that he does in the classroom gets him a diploma, he should be able to get his diploma. He should be able to walk with the rest of his class. That's
And nobody's thinking about the kid. And it's funny because the principals, the teachers, the superintendent, isn't that your priority, the kids? The
exactly.
superintendent is saying, Greg Poole, the superintendent, the
Hmm.
district superintendent, told
Hmm.
CNN the policy was fully within the realms of the law.
Right.
He don't want to touch it. Hey, it's within the realms of the law. He don't want to touch it.
It's sad, man. It is so sad and it's so disrespectful on so many levels because now this young man has to, in order for him, and because I think they said he's going to go to this alternative school from I think the 19th of this month of October to the
Hmm.
29th of November, and then they're gonna I guess allow him to come back to school. Now I'm not sure. It didn't say if he comes back to the school, will he be back in school suspension,
Right. Or
or
will he
he'll
be a
be,
regular student? Yeah.
or will he be back in, the back in with the rest of the students? So I mean, even with sending him to the alternative school, there's nothing being resolved because once he's done with the alternative school and comes back, will he be back in school suspension? So this is just a mess. This is just a big mess that should have never happened.
I agree.
Because again, Chad, what does his hair have to do with his education?
And I don't know how long ago this was because we're in October
Yeah.
and school started in August.
Hmm. Yeah, he's been in school suspension for a little over a month. So basically around the start of the school year.
Yeah, September.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been in school suspension. So like I said, Chad, it's
Mm.
sad and it's not right. and on every level. Let this young man go to school.
Please. And
Just
and
let him
and
go to
and,
school.
and a note for all you parents out there. Please pick up your child's, and I keep wanting to say employee handbook, student handbook,
Exactly. Right.
student handbook. Talk to the teachers.
Hmm.
Find out what's going on. Don't get surprised by this.
Exactly.
And find out in your state, wherever you're listening, if you have the Crowns Act
Hmm.
enforced in your state. Because right now, I think 24 states have enacted versions of a Crown Act, according to the Economic Policy Institute. California
Hmm.
was the first to pass the measure in 2019. But the
Wow.
legislation for a national Crown Act has been unsuccessful. So it's really been, state oriented. So there's only been 24
Hmm.
states. So please check your state and
Hmm.
find out. And also, too, if your child is going to a private school. Now, Pete and I was talking about this off air as well. I don't know if private school supersedes the state law. I don't know. So
Hmm.
that's something you guys want to look into. Save yourself a
Hmm.
headache. Get ahead of the curve. Don't get
Right.
surprised by this crap, because they are trying any and everything to deprive our kids of education, unless huh, unless we toting that rock on the gridiron, or we in the kitchen with our wrists twisted like Chef Curry shooting them
Yeah.
threes.
Hmm.
Seems like that's the only time the exceptions is made, which really pisses me off,
Hmm.
because now
But
you
but
just
Chad, but Chad, that goes back many years because
it does.
yeah, we know a lot of young men that look like us that could barely read and write, but somehow they ended up on the football field and on the basketball court. And you're like, okay, how did Jimmy? We know he can barely spell and read cat or dog, but
But they
nonetheless he's
passed
on
them
the foot.
along.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So this is something that's not new to our community as far as, but this is just a different spin
true,
of
true.
a different spin on the things that they try to do to stop our young people from being educated.
Well, and not to go completely off, but prime example is Lawrence Taylor coming out of Carolina when he had that press conference. He couldn't read.
Hmm. Or
How do
you
you
go,
get how do you get somebody from elementary through high school to college playing ball? He's in the pros and he has this press conference. I can't really read.
well, I think that was Dexter Manley.
Oh, it's Dexter. My
Yeah, it was
apologies.
Dexter.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
No, you're
Lawrence
fine.
Taylor.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no, it was Dexter
Dexter
Manley.
Manley. Okay,
Yeah, it was
Dexter
Dexter
Manley.
Manley played
But he
for.
wasn't the only one.
Yeah, exactly.
He was not the
But
only
yeah,
one. But as long as we are producing and bringing economic freedom, so to speak, to these schools and entities,
hmm
we're
hmm
putting butts in seats. We're getting TV
hmm
contracts for these schools and universities.
it
It
matters.
don't matter.
It don't matter.
Can he do what I need him to do out here on the field?
Right. And
Eh,
like I said, I hope hopefully this young man, I know he's being affected by this, but I hope that he's mentally strong enough to, deal with this and get past this. Because again, people from on the outside of our culture don't understand how deep this goes,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the black psyche. This goes deeper than any haircut.
It does.
Or why doesn't he just cut his hair? It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot deeper than that. So I hope that young man is able to mentally be able to get through this and come out on the other end okay.
I agree. I
Because
agree.
to me, because to me, this is just another form of bullying.
It is.
It's
I'm
just
glad
another
you
form
said
of
that.
bullying. Yeah, it's just another form of bullying to me.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah,
That is, yeah. That's
that's
that is
all
the
it is.
perfect, yeah.
Hmm.
It's another form of bullying. You're exactly right. But I think his mom and his family around him will, keep him girded, if you will, like the old folks say,
Right.
and help him get
Hmm.
through this. But I can understand his frustration.
Of course. Of
You know,
course.
so, man,
I'm
I'm
just
just
I'm
trying to graduate,
I'm just here to learn, man. As
and
B
y'all
spoke.
tripping off my head.
Yeah, and Marshawn Lynch used to say, "I'm just here so I don't get fined.
I don't get fired.
I'm just here to get my education.
That's it.
That's all. I'm just here to get my education.
You know how I live. But it's
Exactly. Just
always
let me
something, man.
Yeah, it's always something. And like I said, I wish the best for this young man.
I do. I
I
do.
really do.
I do. I hope everything turns out for him.
Right.
All right, Pete, let's move into the next uh, super important topic for
Super
our
important.
community. Yeah.
Right.
Um, Edward Blum, BLUM,
Mm-hmm.
the man behind the Harvard affirmative action case. Okay, so basically, if you look behind the curtain of affirmative action litigation in recent decades, there you will find Mr. Edward Blum. He was a former stockbroker and crafted a second act career in multiple attempts to remove race as a factor from public policy, education, voting, and the private sector. Blum, who lives on the coast of Maine, overlooking Penobscot Bay.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. Believes race should neither help nor harm one's life endeavors. Easier said than done, coming from the other
Right.
side of the tracks. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? You've never had to live in black skin, so you don't
Mm-hmm.
really understand. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of uh, brothers and sisters of the pale hue uh, just don't understand. A lot of them live in a bubble and they don't want to
Right.
understand.
Right.
But there's a lot that do want to understand and try
Mm-hmm.
to help as well. They do.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
commend them for that because that's the only way we're going to get better. I mean, we all on this rock called Earth together. We're gonna have to figure it out
Exactly.
how
We got to
to,
figure it out.
you know what I'm saying, to get along.
Mm-hmm.
But he is now his biggest legal victory thus far could be just around the corner. The United States Supreme Court next month is expected to end or limit the practice of considering applicants' race in college admissions. In two cases involving Harvard University and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, brought by a nonprofit that Bloom leads.
No,
So
Chad,
go ahead.
let me go
Yeah,
ahead. Let me go ahead
please.
and stop right there. No, it's already been done. The Supreme Court has already gutted affirmative action on on higher education.
Okay, you're
So
right.
they,
You're right.
they ruled in favor, 6-3 across lines,
To
the party
remove it.
line. Yeah, to remove, basically gut affirmative action. So on in the higher education, it's already been done.
And so a lot
But
of schools are trying to find alternatives to continue to use it though, because they find
mhm,
it very helpful,
of course,
if
yeah.
you will. You know what I'm saying? But there have been a lot of let's just call it what it is. A lot of white folks that are really upset. Well, they're pleased now that
Hmm.
that rule has been removed because
Hmm.
they felt like that rule took a lot of slots away from justified and qualified uh, white folks and kids entering school and
Hmm.
work environments. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
To me, that's the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. Do you know how many
Hmm.
colleges and universities there are in the United States?
Hmm.
I'm sure
And let's
there's
be
one you can get into that's
exactly,
really
and
good that
yeah, and it may not be the one that you prefer. It
that you
may
prefer,
not be
right?
exactly, but if your test scores are well, I mean, you'll be able to get into whatever university you want to get into in most cases. But again, what's so crazy about this situation, Chad, is that he's actually playing minorities against each other because, with the Harvard case,
Mm,
it was Asians. He got
right.
Asians because he said that Harvard had Asian quotas, that
Right.
they were only
That
going to
was the
have so
long
many
time
Asians.
myth, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Come on now. Stop playing. Come on, let's be real. So he he bamboozled
Hmm.
a group of Asian students that felt some type of way because they didn't get into Harvard,
Hmm.
that they're discriminating against you because you're Asian. Don't you realize you're still a minority, right? Group of Asians who filed this lawsuit with him. You do realize you're a minority, right? You're basically cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Hmm.
But again, Chad, if you attach black to anything,
Right. Right.
you attach black to anything, everything is going to change.
That's true.
When people say affirmative action, what do they think of?
Black folks.
Black people.
That's right.
And that's how.
But what one group of people did affirmative action benefit the most?
White women.
White women. Thank you. White women. See, nobody wants to talk about that.
But again, if you attach black to anything, it makes it even easier to get things revoked, like affirmative action. Because again, these Asian students looked at it and he brought it to them as these black people are getting in ahead of you
because of their color, and they're taking away.
And then Harvard has these Asian quotas or whatever the case may be. Stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe, please, people. Stop. Again, you're a minority, just like every other person of color. You're a minority. And then again, Chad, like we just said, the biggest benefactor of affirmative action is white women.
That's correct. You can look that up. That is correct.
So again, you attach black to it, automatic negative. I'm gonna give you another example if you attach black to something, just to give you an example of what I'm saying.
Speak on it.
Welfare.
Ah, yeah. What Reagan do?
The biggest recipient.
Yeah.
Let's say this again. The biggest recipient in the United States of welfare are white people. But when you think of welfare, what do you think of?
Single black women.
There it is.
Because if you read about, even if you, and the media think they're so slick. If you read about stuff like that, they'll usually have a picture of a black woman. And or
with about 4 kids around them.
I was about to say with about several kids with her. Now, the article ain't pertaining to them at all, but symbolism and pictures subliminally. Yes. If I read a title and I see a picture, my mind already is gone there when I start reading the actual article. Right. So even though that article is about white people, I've read the title, I've seen the picture. So now subliminally in my mind, I'm thinking black people. Every time as I read, I'm thinking black folks. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
And Blum has done this. I mean, he started this back in '92. From what I was reading, he was upset when he moved back speaking of Texas, back to Texas. He went to the University of Texas. And in 1990, he moved back to Texas, and he was wondering why he was a Democrat. Then he turned
Republican
to a Republican. And then in 1990, he moved back to Texas in 1990, and he was upset because, nobody was running against the incumbent Democrat in that town, in that community. And so he was upset. And so in 1992, he ran and he won the primary for the Republicans. And then he got beat out by that same incumbent black person. So this is what started the ball rolling with him. So he immediately gets a team together and sues the state of Texas about gerrymandering for minority voting blocks. Went out, and guess what? He won, and that started this whole thing going back in 1992. So now he's been doing this this is not his first rodeo, and he's didn't just come up with this. He's been doing this for a long time, trying to stop it.
And you can tell because of this quote that he put in this article back in May. He said, "The nation cannot remedy past discrimination with new discrimination." He said this in an interview, right? He said there are ways in which individuals and groups who have been on the fringes of opportunity can be brought in, But raising the bar for certain races and lowering the bar for others cannot be the solution to equal opportunity. Now,
Let,
that's a
let,
bunch
let,
of BS.
no. In his mind, it's not. Let me break that statement down, that word salad, down into its purest form.
Okay.
We don't want these black folk in front of us. That's all that meant. That's all that big. All those words, all that word
Yeah.
salad. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
These black folk are getting too many opportunities
Right.
because of affirmative action. I want this to be for white males, not
Mm-hmm.
even for white females. Because again, Chad, who is the biggest recipient of affirmative action?
White women.
There you go. So he's not even looking at it from the aspect of his own of white women. The
Mm-hmm.
women in his race, he don't care nothing about that. All he sees are black people getting opportunities.
And he doesn't like it.
And he doesn't like it. He got beat out in 1992 by a black man. And that's where it started. And so it started with that win in Texas.
But there's statistic after statistic after statistic that
Mhm.
shows not only at schools and universities, but also in the workforce, no matter the industry,
Mhm.
that companies are more profitable, work better,
Mhm.
more valuable
Mhm.
when there is diversity
Right.
within the companies.
Mhm.
It has been proven time
We
and
see
time again.
that, but when a person feelings are hurt, it don't matter. It don't
Mhm.
matter to them. I'm gonna burn the whole thing down because I didn't get what I wanted. So I'm gonna burn.
Right.
I'm gonna try to burn the whole thing down. So again, he's been doing this for a long time to try to get rid of affirmative action.
Hmm.
He's already did it with higher education, and now he's starting to hit businesses and
Yes.
law firms and venture capital groups.
Yep. Because
He,
there was
he,
there's a all black female
hmm
group that is I think their whole thing is providing loans to black women, business women, black
yeah,
women
business. Yes, sir.
entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the one that he's going after, the lawsuit that he has now, could potentially wipe that out
Yeah,
or
it's
stop
called
them from getting that.
yeah, their venture capital is called Fearless Fund, the Fearless Fund.
Yes. Hmm.
And I think Keisha Knight Pulliam is
It's part
is
of it. One of the
is
founders.
part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of the founders. If you don't know who Keisha Knight Pulliam is, she was Rudy on the Cosby Show.
And if you
So
don't know that, then I don't know what to tell you.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just say, yeah, she was Rudy on the Cosby Show. That's Keisha Knight Pulliam, and she's one of the founders of the Fearless Fund, which again, Chad, like you said, was a group that's uh strictly for building up the black woman in business
Hmm.
and giving the black woman opportunities in the business sector.
That's
That's
correct.
that's their whole that's their whole
That's their whole
platform, and
plan. Right, that's right. Yep.
they give grants and loans and
Hmm.
everything to these black women to start up companies, whatever the case may be, and opportunities, jobs, whatever the case may be.
That's true.
And that's what they're doing that for. And then also they're going after law firms as well. What's
Hmm.
the law firm? Let me look. Um, Morrison Forster, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Perkin Cole law firms.
Hmm.
And uh, what is this called? Morrison Foster. They just not really settled. They just changed their whole diversity program because of this.
Hmm.
And guess what? He dropped the lawsuit against them because
Wow.
they went in and changed their whole diversity program.
But you know
So
what?
and then,
Now I remember, like
mhm,
shortly after this law got gutted, a lot of companies dropped their diversity
yeah,
COO or
yeah,
CEO or
yeah, the DEI programs.
yeah.
Yeah, they dropped the DEI programs
Hmm.
because of fear that they were going to be sued by this gentleman. And so again, it's the little things that we don't pay attention to.
Right.
In the end, that may cause our biggest detriment.
And by the time we figure it out, it's too late.
Chad, it's too late.
Right.
It's too late.
But you know what, Pete? A couple of weeks ago, we kind of touched on this because I
Hmm.
was talking about the HBCUs, and I was telling you how the president from FAMU was saying that he said HBCUs period, the increase in applications have increased like 300 to 400%,
Hmm.
especially
Hmm.
after this law got passed. Because now these black kids are like, well, yo, I mean, and it's not any shade towards HBCUs, none whatsoever, none
Hmm.
whatsoever. But these kids are saying, I'm not even gonna get a chance now to go to Auburn or to go to Georgia or to go to UNLV or whatever for whatever
Hmm.
program, because a lot of these schools
Hmm.
our kids want to go to because their
Right.
programs are infamous. They're world renowned.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
if your kid wants to be a veterinarian, or if they want to be an obstetrician, or if they want to be somebody who builds prosthetics for disabled people, there are certain schools that are world renowned for their research in that, and
Hmm.
our kids want to attend that college.
Right.
But now with the affirmative action being gutted, they're looking at it like, I don't have a chance in hell now.
Hmm.
I don't have a chance, so I'm
Hmm.
gonna have to look at a school that will accept me for me, and look at their program and
Hmm.
make the most of it. And like I
But
said, there's no shade to HBCUs because they have some really good programs too in
of course,
engineering and math and
and
agriculture
you,
and
yeah,
technology. The whole, yeah.
you graduate from North Carolina A&T. What are they? What
So
are what are they known for?
agricultural and technological,
There you
and,
go.
and but most importantly, engineering. They are
Hmm.
well renowned with engineering. I know they
Right.
have a partnership with NASA. They've had that for years.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah.
But again, Chad, let's go back to what a affirmative action. If people don't know what affirmative action was put in place for, because people that look like me and you
Hmm.
were not getting the opportunity or not getting a fair shake, whether it was higher education or in business practices. We were not getting a fair shake. Affirmative action was put in place because the government felt that everybody on in the United States should have the uh, same ability to
Hmm.
to get education, to get employment as white men.
Hmm.
That's why it was put in. That's why affirmative action was put in,
Right.
because they wanted to have people people of color have the same opportunities as white men.
Hmm.
If
Well, and because we in those days we were griping about that. It's like, I have the same qualifications as my white counterpart.
Mhm.
Why didn't I get the job?
If everything is fair, you don't need affirmative action.
Exactly. And that's the thing, and that's what he's trying to say. He's like, we can't, get rid of the old discrimination for new discrimination. And my thing is, like you said, if we all saw each other as equals, there would be no need for the affirmative action to begin with. There's a
Chad,
reason why it's in place.
it's real simple.
It's the
It's
same thing with the Merrill's Act. You would
yeah,
not allow us to go to college. You refuse to see us as equals to go to school together. So the government had to come back with another act and say, okay, well, we're going to give y'all money. Y'all need to give them money so they can build their own college. That's
hmm
the reason why HBCUs were in place, because you
there
didn't
you go.
see us as equals to go to the colleges that were already established. So we've been dealing with racism since we stepped foot on these shores.
Yeah, and it's
And the only
just
thing about racism is that it never left. It just continues to evolve.
it just morphed.
That's it. And they try to
It went from hoods to khakis.
that's it.
It went from hoods to khakis.
And for the most part, they try to make it subtle, but because of 45, now it's a lot more overt. Like, we don't
Oh
care
yeah.
if you know.
Batteries were put in backs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, but it's again sad that people feel so inferior about themselves. They don't have enough confidence in themselves that you
To
would go
compete.
out of, yeah, you would go out of your way to tear systems and structures down just because you lost a race in 1992 to a black man. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted.
See, the thing is, you lost the race to a man who was more qualified, who was better prepared,
Mm-hmm.
and who was better equipped to do the job. Race had nothing to do with it. He made it racial. The brother didn't make it racial. The brother made it about policy, about what he could do, what he could deliver, just like every other candidate. He made it racial. Blum made it racial.
Yeah. And what's really the really sticking point to this now is not only is he affecting, because again, when you attach black to something, that's what's going to dominate. Now this is affecting other communities, LGBTQ, and disabled people. See, because affirmative action is just not for black folk. I mean,
and see what I mean. I gotta give him his credit. He was very smart on how he went about it, and how he bamboozled the folks for the lawsuit. And now is a situation where not only is just black folks, but when these other minority groups wake up, it may be too late.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't just us now. But the way he put the bow on it, like you said, attached black to it. He was smart. He attached black to it. Yeah, tear it down. We don't need that. We're not a racial, country. It's more to it than that. But by the time they take the bow off and the newness wears off, wait a minute.
Now I really can't get in the harbor.
Right.
I was mad before, but now I really can't get in the harbor because guess what? Affirmative action is gone.
Y'all don't hire disabled?
Nah, old boy came through and killed all that.
Right. We don't have to do that no more.
I'm a gay man. I'm a gay woman. I can't get.
Nah, I don't have to hire you.
Yeah, because guess what? All you saw was black.
So you thought it was okay when it was just us, but you forgot you was in the gumbo with us.
Ooh, boy, that's a whole nother show.
Like the young folks say, it hit different, don't it?
Man, I'm trying to tell you. People must understand. People must understand when you do things like this, it doesn't only affect the people you're trying to hurt.
But see, this is why we do the podcast. We have to enlighten and inform our community.
Yep.
It is more to it than meets the eye.
Yes.
You have to do your due diligence. You have to look a little deeper, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to look at it on the surface level.
Yes, sir.
Especially the non-blacks and the disabled and the LGBTQ and any other, minority. They want you to look at it on the surface level because they want you to look at it as it's a black thing.
Exactly.
And this is the one time where it's not just a black thing. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said, Chad, when you finally wake up and realize, okay. And now you're on the outside looking in. While people that's probably more than likely less qualified than you are getting into these schools or getting these jobs.
Getting these jobs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So or getting these grants, because again, now even after this, he's going to sue the federal government. After this, he's already said it for the contracts for different
the minority contract. Yeah.
He's already said he's going after that next. Or contracts that the government gives out to different companies.
When all the other minorities wake up, I got 5 words for them. Welcome to the dark side.
Oh boy.
Now you see how we fit. That's just a scrape on the surface.
Yeah. Exactly.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah. But again, I hopefully with it being in the news a little bit more here lately, that people wake up, show us talking about it, people that watch our podcast, hopefully they'll see this and then do their due diligence and do their research on this gentleman and on their companies and things of that sort. But, wake up. That's all I can say. Wake up. It's deeper than black.
It is.
It's a lot deeper than black.
The powers that be are really trying to turn back the clocks,
Mm-hmm.
and they're using us as gator bait,
Yep. Yep.
and y'all falling for it.
Yep.
And what you don't
Exactly right.
understand is, just like they don't care about us, they don't care about y'all either.
At all.
I'm trying to tell you, they do not care.
If it has nothing to do with straight white men, they care nothing about you. White
You got to
women, you listening?
realize, you're right.
You
You
listening?
you got to realize when the Constitution was written, it was written for white men who owned land.
That's it.
When they talk about voting and rights and being free,
Yes, sir.
that's who they were referring to.
Yep.
So my people that are listening that don't look like me and Pete, I need you to
Mm-hmm.
understand that. White women included. You were not included in the Constitution either.
Nope.
You just got your rights to vote in 19 something. I forgot what it was. So let's not get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
This is why, and I need for y'all to stop getting upset when black people say that the Constitution needs to be rewritten. There's a reason why we're saying that. It wasn't written for us to begin with.
Exactly.
It was written for white men who owned land. But now, years and years and years later, comes along MLK, God rest his soul. He's saying, I know what it was written for, but we here now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we gonna make you stand on, talking to the government, what was written in the Constitution. We
Right.
know who it was written for, but
Mm-hmm.
we here now. And we done gave
Exactly.
you 400 years of free labor.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
no. So that Constitution is gonna be for us too.
Mm-hmm.
We coming to
Yep.
collect on that check. It's gonna
Yep.
be for us. So I'm not stupid. No black person is stupid to believe that the Constitution is going to be rewritten. It is not. But what
Mm-hmm.
we need to do is hold the government accountable and make them stand on
Mm-hmm.
that commitment for all U.S. citizens.
Yep.
Period.
Period.
Period. Trying to tell y'all need to wake up on this. This Bloom guy is not playing around. His
Yeah,
feelings is
he's not.
hurt, and
Yeah.
he's after everybody that
It
don't
is
look
not.
like him.
It is not a game. It is
It's
not a
not.
game. It is not a game.
There's a method to the madness, and I need for everybody to wake up.
Yep.
Affirmative action is needed because racism, I hate to say it, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon. We need diversity in
Mm-hmm.
everything and all that we do,
Mm-hmm.
because we need to understand other people's perspectives, customs, beliefs, feelings, because we all live together. It's
Yep.
about respect. It's about respect. We have to be mindful and respectful of other people and stop thinking
Mm-hmm.
that you're the only one that's smart. I don't know what makes y'all think y'all the only ones that's smart. I don't know what gave you that thought.
I tell you, but Mr. Bloom he's out here like I can show you better than I can tell you,
And he doing it.
and he's doing it. He's doing it, and he's doing it in at a rapid pace.
Yes.
He's doing it at a rapid pace.
So please, folks, pay attention. Pay
Yes.
attention.
Yes.
Talk to your local, your city council, your state legislator, and let them know
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, y'all can't keep tearing up this affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do that. We
Mm-hmm.
need that in place until we can get to a society where race is no longer an issue, and that's gonna be a while. I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's gonna be a while.
Mm-hmm.
We need diversity. We do. We need it. Because the last thing you want to be is on the bottom of the totem pole. And I'm talking to the white men. But the way the world is looking by 2035, I think it is, it's going to be a minority. The minority is going to be the majority here in the United States.
Why do you think they're doing the things that they're doing? Whether it's affirmative action or abortion or whatever the case may be, they see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
So again, so I just want people to, like I said, do their due diligence and wake up and see that it's more than black. It's more than when you attach the black onto something. 9 times out of 10, it's something underneath that
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be
That's
affected as well.
benefiting, right? And that's going to only benefit the white man.
Yeah.
Period.
Period. Point blank.
Period. So, all right, folks, we're gonna move into the Black inventor. It's more like an accomplishment instead of an inventor this week.
Okay.
Excuse me. The gentleman's name is James McCune Smith. McCune is McCune. James McCune Smith. He was born in 1813 and died in 1865.
Mhm.
Although many 21st century readers are aware of his work only through his introduction to Frederick Douglass's My Bondage and My Freedom, Dr. James McCune Smith was one of the most broadly accomplished Black intellectuals and activists in antebellum America. Born in New York in April 18 of 1813 to a mother who purchased her own freedom and a father who may have been a freed slave or a white merchant, Smith attended African Free School in New York City, where at the age of 11, he was chosen to give an address to the Marquis de Lafayette at the age of 11.
Wow.
Upon graduation from African Free School, James McCune Smith sought but was denied admission to several American colleges, hence HBCUs. We just talked about that. He then managed to raise enough money to attend the University of Glasgow in Scotland, where after completing not only his bachelor's, but his bachelor's and his master's, he completed a medical degree in 1837. Thus, he became, as far as can be determined, the first African American to be awarded a degree in medicine.
Wow.
After completing a medical internship in Paris, France, he returned to New York City, where he opened a medical office and a pharmacy that attracted interracial clientele on West Broadway. While in Scotland, Smith joined the Glasgow Emancipation Society, an organization that helped to fund his education. After returning to New York City, Smith quickly emerged as a powerful anti-slavery, anti-racism organizer, orator, and writer. Intellectually passionate and erudite, erudite, yes,
Mhm.
and that means having or showing great knowledge or learning. So put that one in your vocabulary, folks. Erudite. Smith wrote prolifically about medicine, science, education, racism, and literature. In 1863, he moved to Ohio to accept a position as professor of anthropology at Wilberforce College. Shout out to the HBCU.
Mhm.
James McCune Smith died of heart disease at the age of 52 on November 17th in 1865. He was survived by his wife and 5 children. So, as far as we know, James McCune Smith was the first African American to obtain a medical degree
Wow. That's big.
or
That
degree in
is
medicine.
big.
Yeah, that's
Direct,
huge.
yeah. That's huge, man.
In that day, to be able to raise money to go to Glasgow, Scotland, to get your bachelor's and master's, because you can't go to school here in the States because you're Black.
That
When I say that out loud, it just pisses me off because of your skin color.
you couldn't
Not
go to
only
college.
can you go to college, but then they thought you couldn't think,
Mhm.
and they thought you were inferior.
Mhm. Man, again, man. As I
When
always
this
say,
whole country moved because of our thoughts and inventions, moved because of our free labor,
right.
you leapfrogged into a superpower
Mhm.
on this continent because of the 400 years of free labor.
Mhm.
In the words of MC Light, I cram to understand you.
I know that's right. And what I say every time you give one of these, man, our people are great, man.
Yeah,
Our
great.
people are great, man.
We
This
faced
world is not.
opposition like I don't want to say that because I don't know what that man went through. I can only imagine. But that was a huge opposition
Mhm.
to, number one, to muster up that money to go overseas
Exactly.
to a land that you don't know, to a
You don't
people
know.
that you don't know, to
Hmm.
a language that you don't know, and to acquire your bachelor's and master's.
Yeah. And I'm sure it wasn't easy over there in Glasgow either.
Right.
So, I
But to
mean,
endure all of that
right.
and still accomplish what you accomplish and then come
Exactly.
back here and then you open a medical office
Hmm.
or a doctor's office
And a pharmacy.
and a pharmacy.
Wow. Great, man. Our people are great. I mean, this world does not move without us. Period. Point blank. You can look at it however you want to look at it. You can look at it side eye, front eye, back eye. It don't matter.
I just want
This
people to be
country, this
real with
country,
themselves.
this country does not move without us. Without our people, it doesn't move without us.
I don't
Too many,
understand. Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead. Go ahead.
too many inventions. Too many. I mean, that this world didn't have before us. I mean, we come from a continent of kings and queens. We come from a continent that was first in math, in mathematics, in language, in science,
Arts,
in
science.
art, and I mean, it's just astrology. That was us. That was my forefathers and foremothers that did all of that before anybody else.
I'm
We
just
did that.
asking for fairness.
That's all. That's
We
all.
contributed to this American experience just like the Europeans did, just like the Scottish, the Irish, the English, excuse me, and everyone else who came over here, the Polish. We contributed too, if
No,
not
no, no,
more.
no. We didn't contribute. We built this.
We founded it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We built this.
For you to
All
come over and
all,
enjoy.
all of it. We built all of this. All of this, what's going on in the United States was built on our back. Don't get mad. Know your history.
And just do.
Yeah, that's all. We just
I
just
I
be fair.
I
Yeah,
just grow
we.
tired of this, Pete.
but
I I'm
we
not
got to keep
asking.
this. Yeah, we
Right.
got to keep this.
We're not asking for dominance.
Mm-mm.
We're
Just
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 saying
just
be
be just be
fair
fair. Just be
and
fair.
tell
That's
the
all.
whole truth.
That's it.
That's it. That's
That's
all
it.
we asking.
That's all. That's all.
Anyway, that's our black accomplisher, James McCune Smith, the
Yeah.
brother who was the first African American to earn a medical, well, excuse me, to be awarded a degree in medicine. So
Hmm.
applaud
Hmm.
him and his efforts for going through that. Um, I'm gonna save the verse for last because I'm gonna let Pete hit us with the book and the classic of the week. So, Pete, the floor is yours, my brother.
All right. Let's jump into it. This is not. This is based off a book. It's a documentary. I Am Not Your Negro, uh, by James Baldwin. Well,
Hmm.
it's based off a book that he was going to write when he excuse me, he only got 30 completed pages of this book, and the book is called Remember This House. That was going to be the title of the book, and basically what it was going to be was a a portrait of the lives of Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Dr. King. Excuse me, and Dr. King, their lives and their assassinations. That's what the book was going to be about. But of course, he died in 1987, and he was not finished with the book. Only 30 pages.
Hmm.
So the director of this documentary took those 30 pages and basically made a documentary called "I Am Not Your Negro,"
Okay.
and it's phenomenal. It is absolutely
Yeah, the
phenomenal.
documentary. If you have not seen it, you
Yeah, yeah.
need to see it. It's really
Yeah,
good.
the documentary is phenomenal, and again, it's based off a book that James Baldwin did not complete. Just he just completed 30 pages of the book, but again, it's a must see.
Hmm.
It is a must see documentary, and again, the title of that is "I Am Not Your Negro." and and Samuel L. Jackson
The
does the
narration.
reading. Yeah, he does the narration.
Okay.
It's done by Samuel L. Jackson. So again, phenomenal documentary. Phenomenal documentary. So again, I Am Not Your Negro
Mm.
is the book of the week.
Mm-hmm.
If you should this week. And let's get to this classic album of the week.
Okay. Okay. So before he
Jazz,
drops the classic,
jazz.
I just want y'all to understand, if we have some young listeners or viewers out there,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have to do your research on this.
Gosh.
Because this is for true music lovers.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It's for true music lovers.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pete. I had to throw that out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was hard this week, Chad, to be honest. Like I told you off air, I had like seven in the chamber that I wanted to, pop off with. But this one was really one that I wanted to highlight this week. It's the Isley Brothers, The Heat Is On. 1975. Isley Brothers, The Heat Is On. That's the name of the album. Dropped in 1975. Let me drop some of the songs that's on this album. First of all, you got Fight the Power. Fight the Power. The Heat Is On, the title track. Hope You Feel Better, Love, which is great. For the Love of You.
That's
there we go.
Right there. That's my
there
song
we
right
go.
there.
For the Love of You, of course. Sensuality is on this. Another great cut. And then, as I told Chad off air, my second favorite Isley Brothers song is Make Me Say It Again, Girl. Is also on this album. And Chad, I noticed something. Of course, I mean, I've known it for a long time, but to let the listeners know, the Isley Brothers were really big on giving part 1 and 2 of songs. Every one of their songs is a lot of their early albums was, like part 1, part 2. Were they the first to do it? No, because James Brown did it back when he was, his early music was a part 1, part 2 situation. But the Isley Brothers took it to another level. It was really big on a lot of their early albums. They had a part 1, and then it was like a little part, and then another, more music would come on after. But this album is just phenomenal. It's just another one of those legendary groups, the Isley Brothers, of course. Just a legendary album. And, back in those days, albums, they would have 6 cuts on an album.
Right, because each cut is like 8-10 minutes. And that's and I was about to say that because the part 1 and part 2, I said I wonder if that has to do with, because radio after a certain time, radio was like, you got to limit, and this was everybody, you had to limit your songs to 3 minutes and 30 seconds because how radio was paying for airtime were ads, and you couldn't get ads in when every song was like 8 to 10 minutes long.
Exactly. So yeah, that is the classic album of the week. The Isley Brothers, The Heat Is On, from 1975.
My.
Woo! It is a boy. It's it's one of them. One of them. DEM. One of them.
One of them. Yeah. I know a lot of kids was made off of that album.
Oh boy, what you talking about? Woo-wee. I'm telling
you. So that's the album. But you know what? We're going to stay on this love theme because we're going to roll into the scripture of the week, right? So we're going to roll into we're going to stay in the love theme. So the scripture of the week comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 and 5, I believe it is. Yeah, verse 4 and 5. It says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs.
Wow.
Love is perfect. And if you do it right, there's no way you can do anybody or anything wrong. But that's the hard part about love, because our fleshly desires and urges kind of take over. We lack discipline in controlling our flesh side. You know what I'm saying? Instead of really focusing on the love side. So
Mm-hmm.
just a few thoughts on today's verse. Love does not focus on myself, but on others.
Mm-hmm.
See, we are a society of me, mine, and mines.
Mm.
That's the problem. We don't focus enough on others genuinely.
Right.
Sometimes people focus on others because it's like brownie points. I'm gonna do something for her or him, so they'll remember that when I need something. No,
Mm.
no, no, no. If you're gonna do it because you want to do it. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
a lot of us we don't love unconditionally.
There you go.
Our love is based on condition.
Strings
You
attached.
know,
There
so,
you go.
yeah, exactly. It has to be something. You have to love me in order for me to love you.
Mm,
A lot of people love that way, but that's not
that's
how it
true.
is.
That's true.
It should be love should be a unconditional.
Unconditional.
Yeah, I mean even people who don't like you should love them as well.
And that's the hard part. That's what we need to work on.
That's the hard part. That I mean, that's why we're not perfect.
There you go. There you go.
Because that's hard for people to the standard to live up to. Because it's going to be hard for me to love somebody who doesn't like me.
Well, not only that, but then you
Hmm.
you worry about what others say. You stupid if you love that person because they lied
Exactly.
on you or they did just or they stole
Hmm.
from you or they, whatever, whatever,
Hmm.
and you still love them. You the dummy. No, no, no. No,
Hmm.
you have to discipline yourself and look beyond that.
Right.
That's the flesh that I was talking about that lashes out because we don't
Right.
like to be taken advantage of. We don't like to
Hmm.
get got.
Exactly. Oh wow, that's big. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We don't.
Exactly.
We don't like to rise above and look beyond that and be like, I still love you in spite
Hmm.
of. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But it says each of these qualities of love is based upon an affectionate, compassionate, and forgiving attitude that rewards others as being valuable and not just placing value on myself and my desires. No wonder the old saying goes, the middle of sin is a big I,
Mm.
right? So when I
Wow.
become more important than others, what
Hmm.
I want and that I win is more significant than what somebody else truly needs. Then
Hmm.
I have lost my way and
Right.
do not display the love of Christ.
Man.
We are in an environment, a society of I, me.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
If we all had the mindset of how can I help? How can I love? How can I support
Hmm.
somebody else? If we all had that mindset,
Right.
the world would be a lot different. There'd be a lot less judging,
Hmm.
a lot less loving with strings attached.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Hmm.
It would be a better world, but we're so caught up in I, me,
Wow.
and that's the
And we're all
problem.
yeah, and we're all guilty.
Oh
And
yes,
we're
no doubt,
we're all guilty.
no
We're
doubt
all
about that.
guilty of that for sure. For sure.
This word is not meant to heal just y'all, but me and Pete as well.
Yeah, I know that's right. I know that's right, cause I ain't got there yet. I'm gonna be quite honest. I ain't got there yet.
I'm still a work in process. What was that? Whip
Yes, sir.
work in process. Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
all
Yes,
are. We
sir.
all are. But
Hmm.
it's good to read the word and keep it abreast in the forefront because
Hmm.
you'll face certain situations and certain things, and hopefully the Lord will bring back into your remembrance of what you read and will help guide you and lead
Hmm.
you into the path that you need to go in. So stop worrying about what other people say about you getting God.
Hmm.
Stop worrying about what other people say because it's not about them. It's about love.
That's it.
Because the thing is, you're gonna mess up once or twice in your life. And you're going to
Hmm.
want and need for people to forgive you and love you regardless of that mess up,
Right.
no matter how
Right.
big it is.
Hmm.
So that's how powerful love is. It's able to erase the
Exactly.
hurt, the sin, the
Hmm.
whatever that happened. But you got to be able to get to that point
Right.
because it's easy to hold a grudge against somebody, be mean and mad or whatever. That's the easy
Hmm.
part. The hard part is to get over that and be like, even though you did me wrong, even though you cursed me out, even though you stole from me, even though you blase blase blah,
Hmm.
I still love you.
Yep.
I
Yep.
still love you because you're not only helping them, you're helping yourself too. And a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
for
people
sure,
don't realize that.
for sure, for sure.
So that is all I have. Pete, anything else, man? We'll wrap this thing up, man.
Yes, sir. As always, man. First of all, love yourself. Speaking of love, we ended this thing on love. First, look, you have to love yourself. Second of all, love others. Love your people, man. Whether it's
Yes,
family, friends, whoever you run into, co-workers, whoever the case may be, man. Love on your people, man. If you have beef with somebody, man, straighten that beef out. Get on the phone, text them, whatever, email, whatever the case may be, however you can get to them, man. Squash the beef, man. Because again, it's about love. Chad just told you that we have to love in spite of, with no strings attached, unconditionally, no strings attached. And again, hope you guys have a great week. Love yourself, love your people, love others. Hey, and we'll make it up out of here in good standing.
indeed. Indeed. Take that beef and put it on the grill.
Yes,
That's
sir.
that's the only thing you need to do with that beef. Put it on the grill.
Yep.
Yep. So, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, I got to give you the quote. Well, I almost got ahead of myself, Pete.
Mm.
So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another edition of Our Voice 360, Our Perspectives, Our Ways. Now for the quote from Marcus Garvey. Never forget that intelligence rules the world and ignorance carries the burden. Therefore, remove yourself as far as possible from ignorance and seek as far as possible to be intelligent.
Right.
All right. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to Our Voice 360, Our Perspectives, Our Ways. Be blessed, be safe, and we're out.
Peace.